Welcome to Seize the Mains Daily Answer Writing Initiative by Malhotra's IS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and I'm taking this lecture discussion on UPSC and State Civil Services Mains Answer Writing from Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. The special part about this initiative is that you not only get to learn answer writing with us, but you can also share your answers with us on the given email ID to be evaluated by our experts entirely free of cost. If you are new to this initiative, you can download the timetable from the link in the description below. Today is day 42 of Seize the Mains and the topic is from GS paper 2, Welfare Schemes for Vulnerable Section of Population. Before I display the question, make sure that you have a pen and a paper handy with you so that you can take notes for this entire discussion. Also, you can frame your own answer, frame your structure of the answer as you see the question, pause the video and note down the points that come to your mind. The PDF of this entire presentation is there in the description below, so don't worry about making full notes. Let's see what's the question. So, Earn While You Learn scheme needs to be strengthened to make vocational education and skill training meaningful. Comment on this, answer in 150 words for 10 marks and send your answers to us by 9 p.m. of 8th April, that is in the next 24 hours. So, the special part about the scheme is that this scheme has been launched by many institutes, many ministries from time to time. UGC runs its own scheme of Earn and Learn. Ministry of Tourism has its own scheme of on these parameters. So the thing is that you need to understand the question first. This question is not about vocational education. This question is not about skill training. This question is about using this scheme, Earn While You Learn scheme, to promote both of these, to strengthen vocational education and skill training. How can they be made meaningful? By incorporating this element of Earn and Learn. See, the kind of education that we receive in India and what level of education a person receives in India, it is a kind of luxury. The kind of social status or the social background that a person has, that decides that how much education one can actually receive and what is the quality of education or educational institute one can go to. So education is a social luxury in our country in a way. Why? Because if you are enrolled in a course, what you need to have? First of all, the money to pay for that resource, to pay for that college degree or university degree, whatever you are enrolled in, or even a basic coaching in a competitive exams coaching industry. So the second one is a stable family condition, that the conditions in your family, on especially on the monetary side, on the economic or financial side, they are stable and they can support your daily expenses. They are that kind of stable. Or what happens? Either people work part-time to support their own education or the needs of their family, or they completely drop out of the education system. What happens then? When they drop out of the education system, they are not able to have higher level of education and the necessary skills cannot be incorporated in these people, and then these people remain at a lower salary base. Whatever they are working for is not requiring a high quality of skill, so they are underpaid or they are low paid for the rest of their life. So that is the scenario of our country at this moment. Earn While You Learn scheme tries to fight against this. Earn While You Learn scheme says that even while studying or while training for a vocational course, you can earn side by side through an internship or through a course that your college or university runs in partnership with industry or a governmental institution or a government body or the local government itself. So that is the idea behind Earn While You Learn scheme. So let's see how we can frame the structure of this answer. First of all, as we always talk about, we'll write an introduction. In introduction, we'll use data about employability in India, that what is the level of people who are employable in India, and introduce the role of skill development, vocational training and this Earn While You Learn scheme, that why are these three important and why is Earn While You Learn scheme important for strengthening vocational development and skill training. We'll emphasize the importance of this. Questions on skill training and vocational development have already been asked. These are like regular questions that UPSC keeps on asking, that there is low level of skilled labor in India, low level of skilled human resource in India. This was something new and it was asked in the recent UPSC mains paper. So after the introduction, once we have introduced the importance of Earn While You Learn scheme, in our body paragraph, we'll explain how the scheme works, what are its advantages, and then we'll conclude by saying or giving an example. For example, in this question, we'll take the example of Germany, or giving some philosophical conclusion that why this scheme is very much necessary and why this is the need of the hour. So moving on, let's see what is the introduction for today. Our introduction uses some data points about the employment or employability situation in our country. So to reap the demographic advantage, India needs to fix the challenges pertaining to employability. So these are your keywords: demographic advantage and employability. According to the latest India Skills Report, this is released almost every year now, only 46%, that is less than 0.5% of Indian graduates are directly employable. And that's a dismal number. Where are the rest 50%, more than 50% going? They are entering, they are becoming unemployed graduates. They are entering the pool of unemployed people of the country. So also the United Nations Development Programme's Human Development Report 2020 highlights that only 21.1% of the labor force was skilled in the period of 2010 to 19 in India, that is in roughly in the past 1 decade. So these are two data points. This employability data is very important. Make sure that even if you are not aware of the second data point, you are aware of the latest India Skills Report data or approximate data of this report. So now coming to the linkage point, we've already shown that what is the level of unemployability in India, and now we'll introduce the role of vocational training and earn value learn scheme into our answer, and then we'll move the direction of our answer towards a body paragraph. So earn value learn scheme has a major role to play in generating self-employment, increasing employability across all educational domains and increasing social mobility. So this has been discussed as follows. So self-employment can happen if skill training is going on side by side, and after the college hours, if people are doing something, some internships which are paying them in return, they will be motivated to have their own small businesses. They will be motivated for self-employment once they complete their university or college education. Secondly, it will increase their employability because the people who will be passing out with college or university degrees, they will already have skills which are required to work in an industrial sector. So it will increase employability across all educational domains. There are so many courses which for which direct placement does not take place, or there are so many colleges in all parts of the country, in various parts of India, where placements are not happening. People are completing 3-year graduation courses or 4-year graduation courses or some diplomas, but after completing that education, they are sitting back at homes or taking just, small jobs which do not fit the kind of skills that they have, or they are not skilled enough to go to an industry and ask for a job. So that is a dismal situation. This all can be fought with if we can provide, first of all, training, skill training, vocational education, and thirdly, if this can be integrated with some monetary benefit which earn value learn scheme intends to provide. So this has been discussed as follows. Now we'll discuss how earn value learn scheme has the potential benefits to strengthen the employability situation in our country. First of all, this is a broad overview of the scheme that was started by Kerala government. You can give an overview of earn value learn scheme, or give a brief description that how the scheme works. So students can be provided jobs at various levels to sustain their livelihood under earn value learn scheme. They can get jobs at government departments, special purpose vehicles, local bodies, local self-government institutions, private and public enterprises, startups, etc. So now we'll discuss about the advantages of earn value learn scheme. So the first point is that it will help the youth acquire higher education while simultaneously skilling them. So what happens is that as I discussed in the introduction for this lecture, most school dropouts, most educational dropouts are because they have a personal problem, and a personal problem turns into a financial problem. So they cannot support their education, they cannot stay in that education system. Plus, whatever degrees they are enrolled in, whatever education degree they are enrolled in, that does not guarantee them employment on completion. So what they do is they drop out from the regular educational system and find the first and look for the first job that they can find, and just join the enterprise which can support their financial needs for the time being. So earn while you learn scheme can support these students, and especially people from economically backward classes. They can gain higher education as high as they want, because they'll be able to support their families and their own financial needs side by side. So this is how it will push the kind of or the level of vocational training or skill development that we have in India. So it helps the youth acquire higher education by facilitating part-time employment. People will be able to learn skills and cater to their financial needs. A lot of dropouts from education system are because they need to support their families financially, and being in the regular education system isn't affordable on one hand and doesn't promise them a good employment opportunity in future on the other hand. This number can be brought down. Many governments, in fact this was again about one of these state governments, that they have shifted their regular classes of college or universities from 10 to 4 to 8 to 1 o'clock, so that in the rest half of the day students can actually join internships, they can work on skill training and get benefited in return in monetary terms. So this is about your first point. The second point is that it is expected to go a long way in supporting those hailing from economically backward sections who cannot support education, who cannot fund education. Now they can do it. The third one is about this work experience. This kind of vocational training or the internship that students are doing, this can be included in their educational assessment, in the annual or semester wise educational assessment that the universities are currently doing. So work assessment can be considered as a part of academic assessment. It will help to foster industry and university linkages, and this is the need of the hour. In fact, the new educational policy of 2020 that we have in place, that also talks about vocational training and about industry and educational institutions linkages. Whatever the books that we are following, whatever the education that we are providing to a young generation, that is not skilled, that does not prepare them for the industry. In fact, many enterprises, many companies carry out their own skill development courses because before they actually employ the graduates from a particular stream. So that is the current state. If we can integrate the current levels of education, the current type of education with the demands of industry, what kind of jobs are needed, what kind of skills are needed in the industry. So this can generate immediate employment, and internships can be given on a side-by-side basis, and this can be incorporated in the regular assessment in educational institutions. This will maintain higher educational standards by aligning them with the industrial setup. In fact, this is carried out in most of the developed countries. Developed countries have been able to improve their education standards, and they have been able to develop the industrial sector side by side because education and industry were working hand in hand. So hence vocational education will slowly become a part of regular education. The fourth part is career-oriented supplementary courses can be designed in the education setup itself. So this will in turn save a lot of resources of the government. Nowadays what is happening, that people are doing their regular graduation or regular post-graduation, and after that they are not employable in any of the industries, because industries, when they release these job notifications, they have some demands in place which cannot be satisfied by these graduates or postgraduates. So what happens is, these people go to some skill training or vocational training courses. They join such courses, and many of the times these courses are being provided by the government. The infrastructure has to be built in by it has to be created by the government from scratch, and the government has to rope in a lot of funds there, has to put in a lot of funds to carry out these skill development programs or activities, so that unemployment rates can come down in the country. But if this can be integrated at the level of colleges or educational institutions itself, so that cost, that resources of government will be saved, and these people will be directly employable once they graduate. So career oriented supplementary courses can be designed in the education setup itself. This will in turn save a lot of resources of the government that is being spent on running separate skill training courses after one has completed education. So it renders education system meaningless on one hand, that degree is just a piece of paper for you, and it adds to the cost of the government on the other hand in terms of infrastructures, hiring trainers, etc. The fifth point is this scheme can be used to generate employment not only in bigger cities but also in smaller areas or far-fetched areas, because where skill training, where skilled labor is available, industries also start setting up there. So in if education system, the skill training, earn value learn scheme and industry works in they all work in consonance with each other, employment and industrial development, both of them can be generated in far-fetched areas. So by taking the focus to the regions that have a low income base, employability of youth from remote areas can be improved. And what will this do? This will bring down the level of migration that India is facing nowadays, from rural to urban areas, from semi-urban areas to metropolitan cities or completely urban areas, which is creating pressure on resources on just few pockets in the country. So this will not just aid industrial development of the country but also check migration and the ever increasing pressure on few metropolitan cities. Now in conclusion, one thing that you can do is you can talk about Gandhiji's Nai Talim. Nai Talim says that work and education are not separate from each other. If you know the kind of education Mahatma Gandhi wanted for India, that education incorporated vocational skill and home education in itself. So that was a complete kind of education. So you can talk about Nai Talim here, that education and work are not separate, and this is the need of the hour. Earn value learn scheme, vocational training and skill training, all these need to go hand in hand, and earn value learn scheme is very important to strengthen the other two parameters. While the other thing is that you can talk about you can take the example of Germany. Germany provides free education to international students, to its own students and things like that, and it has a very good industrial base. How it could reach to this level, let's read about it. The German system of dual vocational education and training has proven itself to be successful over the last centuries. It is placed to bridge the gap between the increasing need for theoretical knowledge and real world application of these skills. So this was one of the examples. I'm writing here Nai Talim. So you could talk about this also. This is your second point here. It's high time the final conclusion paragraph just explains that why do we need this in India. It's high time that we replicated a similar model in India. Skill development and vocational training find meaning when they are provided with monetary benefits right at the undergraduate level or right at the base level, because people need money to survive. Sometimes they do not have the time to to peacefully upskill, sit back and upskill themselves and wait for a day when they'll be justifiably employed at a good paying job. So this will go a long way in increasing the motivation levels of youth to be industry ready. So this is a very simple conclusion. You can have your own innovative ideas when it comes to introduction and conclusion. The data point and introduction for this question are very important. So make sure that you have that. Here we have discussed 5 points for this question. Yes, 5. Based on your understanding, see, we've all been brought up in the same educational setup. So if you have your personal experiences or experiences of your friends who suffered because of the lack of monetary benefit in our educational system, or once education is completed, so make sure that you add solutions to those points, you highlight those points in your answer. That will make your answer innovative and it will fetch you more marks. Download the PDF for this presentation from the link in the description below. You can download the compilation for the entire season 1 in PDF format from the link given in the description below. Keep it handy, keep it safe with yourself for quicker revision when you're writing mains. And all the best to you. Share your answers with us in the next 24 hours. See you with another discussion tomorrow.